What do you picture when you think of the Stone Age? Grunting cavemen dragging clubs? Well, get ready to have your mind blown. The people we've often dismissed as primitive were, in fact, geniuses in their own right, possessing a level of intelligence and creativity that continues to shock archaeologists today. Let us throw out the old stereotypes and dive into the incredible minds of our Stone Age ancestors. It all starts with the tools. We often see a simple hand axe and think, okay, a sharp rock. But making one wasn't simple at all. It required immense foresight and planning. Our ancestors had to find the right kind of stone, visualize the final shape hidden within it, and then execute dozens, sometimes hundreds, of precise strikes to get it just right. This wasn't just banging rocks together. It was a highly skilled craft, a form of engineering passed down through generations. Imagine teaching someone that today, without a common language. It shows they had complex communication and a system for transferring knowledge. But they didn't stop at simple stone tools. Archaeologists have found evidence of truly surprising technological leaps. They were creating composite tools, combining different materials to make something far more effective. Think of a stone spear point attached to a wooden shaft, bound together with plant fibers. That's 3 different components, each requiring a different skill set to prepare and assemble. To hold it all together, they developed the world's first adhesives. They learned to carefully heat birch bark to extract a sticky, waterproof tara, complex chemical process that required precise temperature control. They were essentially the first chemists, all without a lab coat in sight. This shows an incredibly advanced understanding of their environment. They weren't just grabbing random rocks and sticks. They were geologists, knowing which stones would flake predictably and which would hold a sharp edge. They were botanists, understanding which plants produced strong fibers for rope, and which woods were flexible enough for bows or sturdy enough for spears. This deep knowledge of materials was critical for survival. They knew the seasons, tracked animal migration patterns, and understood the landscape in a way that most of us can only dream of. They lived in harmony with nature not because they were simple, but because they were profoundly intelligent observers of it. And then there's the art. The breathtaking paintings found deep within. Caves like Lascaux and Chauvet are more than just pretty pictures. These weren't doodles. They were expressions of complex, symbolic thought. To create them, they had to venture into the dark, dangerous depths of the earth, carrying torches. They mixed mineral pigments to create a palette of reds, yellows, and blacks. They used the natural curves of the cave walls to give their animal figures a 3-dimensional feel. This wasn't just decoration. It was likely tied to rituals, storytelling, and mapping their spiritual world. It was a way to communicate ideas, preserve memories, and build a shared cultural identity. This is the birth of abstract thought, the ability to represent the world in symbols. This ability to think abstractly hints at another surprising skill: mathematics. While they weren't solving calculus, there's evidence of early counting and measurement. Notches carved into bones and tools suggest they were keeping track of something, maybe lunar cycles or the number of animals in a herd. The layout of their shelters and hunting camps shows a clear understanding of spatial relationships and geometry. They had to plan for the long term, calculating how much food was needed to survive a harsh winter and coordinating large-scale hunts that required dozens of people to work together seamlessly. This wasn't just instinct. It was strategic planning at its finest. Perhaps one of the most touching discoveries is the evidence of early medicine. Skeletons have been found with healed fractures that would have been debilitating without long-term care. There are even signs of successful amputations and basic dentistry, like drilled teeth. This tells us something profound about their society. A person with a broken leg couldn't hunt or gather. For them to survive meant that others had to care for them, feed them, and protect them for weeks or even months. This wasn't just about survival of the fittest. It was about empathy, compassion, and the strength of social bonds. They understood the human body and were committed to caring for their own. That social intelligence was their ultimate superpower. Humans aren't the strongest or fastest animals. Our survival depended entirely on our ability to cooperate. Building a community requires trust, shared rules, and complex communication. Knowledge wasn't just learned. It was passed down across generations through stories, songs, and hands-on teaching. This transfer of cultural knowledge is what allowed them to not just survive, but to thrive and spread across the entire planet. They were masters of collaboration, building social networks that were just as sophisticated as any tool they crafted. These discoveries paint a picture of a psychologically complex people. Ritual burials, sometimes with tools and ornaments, show they were grappling with big questions about life and death. It suggests they experienced grief and had a deep sense of respect for their loved ones. They felt fear in the face of a predator, hope for a successful hunt, and curiosity about the world around them. These emotions, which we all share, drove their decisions, shaped their culture, and fueled their innovation. They were not unfeeling brutes. They were fully human, with a rich inner world. So why does all of this matter today? Because it forces us to rethink what intelligence really is. It's not just about flashy technology or big cities. It's about adaptation, creativity, problem-solving, and cooperation. Our Stone Age ancestors were masters of all these things. They possessed a flexible, resilient mindset that allowed them to flourish in a challenging world. We are the direct inheritors of that legacy. Their biology and, in many ways, their innovative mindset are still with us. Ultimately, human intelligence didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was forged in the crucible of the Stone Age, evolving gradually out of necessity. They weren't behind the times. They were perfectly adapted to their time, equipped with exactly the skills and intellect they needed. They weren't too primitive for complexity. It seems we were the ones who were too primitive in our understanding of them. Our ancestors were, without a doubt, far too intelligent for the simple box we tried to put them in. If you enjoyed this journey back in time and want to support our exploration of history's hidden secrets, consider becoming a member of this channel. Your support allows us to create more content just like this. And of course, if you liked this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.